Mirë mrama edhe mirë se vinin kallëzo për një me. Mysafiri jemi sëntëm është Paul Refsdal. Pauli ka kalu kohë mrena Kosovës 98, 99 gjatë bombardimeve si gazetar, fotograf norvegjez. Sonte do të ndëgjojmë rrëfimin e tij se si ka qenë jo vetëm me raportu në kohët luftës, po me u plagos prej Serbisë, edhe me qëndru si plagosun në spital të UÇK-s gjatë kohës së luftës. Paul, welcome back to Kosovo.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the contribution you've done to Reporting House exhibition by giving us your videos, by giving us your photos, a collection of over 500 photographs, lots of videos. You have done the same for the Institute of War. You've donated all your material to the archives of the Institute of War in Kosovo. Tell us the history. Who is Paul Refsdal for people who were born after 99?
Oh, well, I've been covering wars since I was 20. I started in 1984. When the massacre of the Gazetari family happened, I didn't know anything about the war in Kosovo. But I have been in Bosnia, so I knew my logic was that if the UÇK is fighting if they're fighting against the Serbs, they must be the good guys. So I started to make contact with the UÇK, and finally the people in Norway, they sent me first to Macedonia and then to Albania, and I joined a unit of UÇK going into Kosovo.
So when did you come here first? Which unit did you join?
It was just, young guys coming from Europe. They were going over Pastrik, smuggling weapons and going inside to fight. That was in June 1998. I had to go with the regular groups going inside from Shqipnia. But, I was very unlucky because in Pastrik we fell into an ambush. I was wounded with a hand grenade, a Serbian hand grenade. Several fighters were killed and even more wounded. I was actually left in the ambush, so I had to drag myself into the forest with my bag, with camera and gear. I linked up with the UÇK down in the forest, and they took my bag and helped me down the mountain. But after a while, the guy who was carrying the rucksack, he couldn't manage it anymore, so he ditched it. It fell into the hands of the Serbs later on.
What fell into the hands of the Serbs? Your camera?
My camera, my documents, everything I had was in the rucksack. So the Serbs, they presented it I think first in Pristina and then in Belgrade. Anyway, the Serbs, after a few weeks, they went public and said they concluded I was not a journalist, I was an international terrorist.
International terrorist. They named you and they called you that with a name?
Yeah, yes.
Can we find footage, do you think, of that press conference?
I'm sure you can find it, because the doctors in the military hospital, the UÇK military hospital, they came, when they came from Pristina, they were laughing and saying that, the Serbs said you are an international terrorist, and they started calling me Carlos, like Carlos the Jackal. So, but anyway, going back to Pastrik, it took, I lost everything, and, I had my arm was broken, and, I couldn't feel anything, and my leg was filled with shrapnel. So, they, at the end, they had to drag me down the mountain, and we reached a hospital after, let's say, 24 hours. It was someplace close to Malishev, you know how it was.
So you were dragged from Pastrik to Malishev, quite a journey.
No, not dragged all the way. But
you were put in a car, probably.
Yes, I wasn't that bad wounded. I was treated by Naim Bardici, you know him?
Of course, he's the Secretary of Ministry of Health.
He was treating me when I was there wounded. He came with the same group.
Is he in the photos you have done?
No,
He's not.
Unfortunately not.
Yes.
But he's, you know, I try to meet him every time here.
That's why I was surprised now, because I've looked at your photos. There's a lot of doctors there, carers, patients, but I haven't seen Bardic.
No, he was sent to another area of Drenica.
So where were you treated? Where were you placed?
Well, first in a field hospital close to Malishev. Then Luli came, Kadri Wesley, he came and he said, we will transfer you into Drenica. So after a few weeks, you know, they sent me to Likovs. They had a field hospital there. I was staying there for a while until the Serbs started launching the offensive, and we had to...
Which is autumn 1998?
Yes, that was...
So you stayed till when? How many months? From June till September?
No, end of September, September, October, 3.5 months I was inside. You know...
you were basically recovering for 3 months?
I was recovering, but the problem was I couldn't get out. You know, at that time we had a foreign minister, Vollebæk, who later became the OSSE chief in '99. He was
a Norwegian foreign minister, right?
Yes, yeah, he was Norwegian foreign minister. He was negotiating with the Serb, and that's why I say me getting wounded was a blessing in disguise, because there was a Norwegian there. He learned that the Serbs, they will always trick you, they will always lie to you. One day they said, okay, he can leave, no problem. The next day they say, no, he broke international law.
Paul, this was 1998. Are you sure that Vollebæk, having seen the war in Bosnia, having seen the Srebrenica genocide, really did not know that Serbs lie and had to be convinced by your experience of getting you out?
I know, for sure he knew something, but you know, this was a personal... He negotiating with the Serbs, and I know that he got at moments very angry with the Serbs. That was in '98. Okay. So they had different plans to try to get me out.
So let's go back. He was trying to negotiate with the foreign minister, his equivalent in Belgrade, trying to get the Norwegian journalist out.
Yeah.
What feedback was he getting from them? What were they saying to him?
Well, they would, you know, they said sometimes they said, yes, he can go, there's no problem. And then they said, no, he will be arrested. You know, he will be brought for informal conversations. You know, I didn't want to end up in a Serbian prison, so I stayed with Učaka as long as it was possible, so to say. But at the end of September, you know, the area of Učaka was shrinking. Jarpri, Hashemtachi, he knew that I wanted to get out. I was supposed to get out in September, I think, mid-September. But
International Red Cross came to see you, no? Did they do anything?
Well, not anything productive, so to say. There was this nurse from New Zealand, and she came to see me, and she said, if you want, you can come with me to Pristina. And I said, yeah, but I will be arrested on the first checkpoint. And then she went back and communicated with the Norwegian Red Cross, who communicated with the Norwegian Foreign Ministry, saying he doesn't want to leave Kosovo. So the Red Cross was just more trouble than help for me.
Well, can you tell us a little bit about your time as a patient of the Likovs medical center, where you seem to have taken lots of photos? What was the atmosphere like? What were doctors doing with so little medical equipment? How were the wounded treated? How was life like?
Well, it's, you know, first of all, everything had to be done secretly. So they just had a private house, they converted it into a hospital, and they did, you know, they improvised and they did the best they could. The doctors, you know, they were not, of course, not allowed to go and operate in Učaka areas. So actually they told me that there was a Serbian minister said that if they find any of these doctors, they will force them to eat everything in the operation room. That's what they said, that the Serbian minister said.
But I see civilians, I see in your photos lots of children,
Yeah.
lots of civilians being treated in these hospitals.
Yeah.
How was it possible to keep them without medicine? Or were you getting aid?
I don't know, really. I don't know the logistics. I knew they had some equipment, something they didn't have, like they had problems getting anesthetics. They also had some problems when when the offensive, the Serb offensive came. They had to run away, and a doctor called Shpetin Robai.
Of course we
yes,
know.
He was one of these team.
So Shpetin Robai came to this hospital?
Yeah. He was working there, and I really liked him. He was had a very strong personality, had a very strong opinion, and he was qualified. But what happened also, they escaped, and then the Serb lured him back, and the road was mined, so he was killed.
Yes. Shpetin Robai's experience is part experience. Death, murder in mines is a part of this exhibition in Paper Gallery nearby, where Donika Shahini, one of the journalists for the Qindra Informative Kosovës, Qik, did a special report about him in this bulletin that they produced. The bulletins about Shpetin Robai are exposed and are available to see in Paper Gallery, which is in the building of Radio Kosova, because we think his contribution is absolutely remarkable to Kosovo, and it's such a shame we lost such a doctor. I want to now, having talked to you about your experience as a wounded patient of the Likov's makeshift medical center, talk a little bit about the photos that you gave us. I want to start off with the photos on civilians.
Can I first say that, in 1998, because the bag was lost, all my camera gear was lost, I was a journalist inside the Uchaka area, I didn't have cameras. So I was talking with Luli, and he lent me his camera. So that in 1998, all the photos I took there was with the camera that Luli lent me. Okay,
we're going to go to those photos that you filmed with the camera, Luli's camera, as you say. For now, can we talk about the civilian photos?
Yes.
This is 1999. Paul, when did you come back to Kosovo in 99?
It was in March. 99. I went back to Norway, I had an operation, and then week after I was back in Shqipnia, and I was meeting with some friends in Tirana, and then we heard of the news, the bombing has started. So I just rushed up.
So Paul, you're a bit crazy.
After
getting wounded, after spending 3 months in hospital, after all the diplomatic efforts to get you out, you come straight back in 98 first, then 99?
Yes.
Why?
Because, this is first of all, you get to know the people, you get engaged, and I wanted to do more than I did last year. I mean, last year in 98, I didn't have my video camera. This time I wanted to use my video camera. I wanted to work like a real
journalist. Okay, we'll talk about that return. First, 99. Okay. Tell me about this photo.
Okay, this is, I'm on the way up north in Albania, up to the training camps of Uchaka. On the way, we meet refugees coming out of Kosovo. So we stop and we take I take some photos of them.
This is March 99.
This is, I think it's beginning April.
April.
Yeah.
Okay. April, I came out to Albania on 4th of April, but not through these back roads, but through the border.
Yes.
So similarly, these are refugees you meet, yes?
Yes, yes.
Where were they from? Or you can't remember?
I don't know. It's, I'm a photographer. I just take pictures. I don't write about them. So, you see the refugees, what they bring. They bring the blankets. They bring the, the beds for the babies.
We continue with a photo of people now stationed somewhere. Where are they?
This is in the Kleshka area, because I was covering first I was covering the Ušćaka offensive from Shqipnia into Kosovo. Then in beginning of May, I went to Macedonia, and we walked from Macedonia up to Kleshka. You know, the same way, crossing the asphalt at night, going.
What month?
That is in May.
99.
May 99.
So you entered Kosovo during the bombing.
Yes,
you were in.
Yes.
And this is so refugees inside.
Yes, this is in Kleshka area. You know, there were thousands of refugees seeking shelter there because they couldn't get out. They were afraid nationally of the Serb massacring them if they got out. So they were taking refuge there because the Ušćaka had presence in the Kleshka area. So they were just gathering, you know, the thousands of people there, and they were just trying to live there.
Paul, may I say I appreciate these photos a lot, because here collecting all the photos, there is a lot of photos of refugees that were out of Kosovo, but so deep into Kosovo. Kleshka, which is like maybe quite central, towards center of Kosovo, we hardly have any photos of refugees inside, because all the journalists were kicked out of here. International journalists were kicked out during NATO bombing. So I really appreciate your bravery in staying on.
I wanted actually to go to Drenica, but Ušćaka said it's impossible. I mean, the flat area there is totally controlled between here and Drenica. It's totally controlled by the Serbs. Forget about it.
We continue to this photo again in Kleshka.
Yes, these photos are all from Kleshka.
Kleshka refugee camp.
Yes,
not a camp.
It's not a camp because
hideout.
Yeah, because you have these valleys
going
into Kleshka area, and they drive as far as they come with the tractors, and they put up a tent, and then they try to live there, you know, with the food they have. Ušćaka, they had orders that the people were not allowed to increase the prices of food there, because they didn't want people to speculate. So
where? In Kleshka?
In the Kleshka area. They said you're not allowed to increase the prices. The prices of food, of meat is so and so. The prices of corn.
And what do you mean the prices? Did the shops work during the bombing?
No. But some people have more food than others. You know, someone just had their clothes and they ran away. And at night, you know, people used to go down to the village. We meet some of them. They come with a sack of grain. They went down to the village and sneaked into the house and took some food and then sneaked back. You know, if the Serbs would have seen them, they would have shot them. So it was, you know, food was very dangerous to procure. So the Ušćaka said that there's not going to be any speculation about increasing prices. The prices are this and this and this.
Interesting. I never heard this story before. Very interesting story. We continue to the next photo.
Yes, this is the improvised hospital in the Kleshka area. Again, just a house. They try to do the work as good as they could.
Am I wrong? Maybe you don't know. Is this Vitim Selimi? The doctor, or you don't know him? In uniform?
No, I don't know him. I know the one on the left.
Who is he?
Fadil.
Yes.
Serostat.
Yes.
Yes.
That's Fadil. That's another doctor. He was the KLA doctor.
Yeah, he was. He had a call sign 007.
Okay.
Like James Bond. You know?
And this is makeshift hospital in April 99 in
May
99 in
May 99. Maybe it could have also been in June. But this was, you know, I think they had just one hospital there operating, and then they had some first aid station around, you know, where the people were.
Is this again Kleshka? This next photo?
Then after, you know, when we were getting closer to the Serbs withdrawing, we were also getting reports of massacres. And one of them was a small village, I think it was called Saraluka, close to Malishev. They said they found a massacre site. So I went with one UÇK guy. We crossed the main road and we went to walk to the village, and we found this house burnt down. Inside it looked like, you know, leftovers from a barbecue, but these were human remains. These were skulls, skeletons from women, men, and even, you know, you have small skulls like from babies.
So this is Caraluk, May 99.
Yeah. This is June. June. It was very close to the Serbs withdrawing. So I filmed there and took photos, and the UÇK investigator, he took the names. And he told the person, there was a civilian man there, said that you shouldn't bury the remains because international investigator will come.
Who was that KLA investigator?
No, I don't know the name.
You can't remember?
It was a KLA guy, he had a camera, he wrote down the names.
Yeah.
So after a week, I went there with Christiana Mampour from CNN. And the site was like, we left it, they made a report, but the same civilians that had come back said, you know, they're tired of waiting, they will soon bury the remains, because they are tired of waiting for the international investigator. And that's probably, you know, a wise decision, because the international community was very slow. You know, slow telling the refugees they could come back, slow investigating the war crimes.
I don't think the refugees listened. They came back.
Yeah, they came back, of
in
course.
unprecedented way.
Of course.
That had ever happened. 1 million people came back within 2 weeks.
Yeah, of course. People want to go home, you know. They want to come to...
I love the next photo, Paul. Tell us about this one. Where is this taken?
Oh, this is the same era, Klečka.
Klečka.
There is one guy...
May, June 99.
Yeah, May or June 99.
In the middle of bombing, in a makeshift refugee camp.
Yes.
A guy is reading computerizmi dhe informatika. He's doing school.
Yes, he wants to study computers. So
I love his gaze. I love his gaze to you. What was he trying to say? That you're interrupting his reading?
No. I think he was happy with me being there. But you know, life goes on. People don't think this war will, or they hope the war will not last forever. So they think there will be a life afterwards, and then I will continue studying.
Paul, may I say what I appreciated most about your photos is how you do free time in really tough situations. You have like this, I would call it the genre of free time in a refugee camp, free time in a KLA camp. And my favorite photo is the one where you have patients healing, and next to their bed in this really makeshift home, makeshift medical center, they have a little painting on the wall. Somebody has drawn a flower and they put it on the wall, and they made it look like their own room in hospital. You may not have noticed, but when we looked at it with a curator here, we loved the fact they had art on the wall. Your patient, I think it was a child, had a little children's drawing that they had put on the wall.
Oh,
we really appreciated that. Next photo. I love this too. Women cooking
yes, and you
in
see,
the nature.
You see how they were living, you know, it's plastic tents, you know, they have this bow they make from branches, and they put a plastic tarp over it, and that's how they sleep, you know.
This is again Klečka, presumably?
Yes, and you can see, you know, they drive the tractors, they drive the cars as far, as high up they can come, and then that's where they have to stay.
Presumably, again, May, June 99.
Yes.
The next photo is lovely too.
Oh yeah, the children, you know.
Here, we have some art here. Somebody has made a wooden airplane in the middle of the war.
It's a wooden NATO plane.
Wooden NATO plane.
Can't you see this is a NATO plane?
Yes, now that you say, I can see it. Not in the beginning.
You know, but because the children, they learn from the adults, NATO planes are good. They bombed the Serbs, so they were making their own planes, and they were playing NATO, you know.
Excellent. I want to go to one of the top photos I like a lot. Oh, explain to us this. Is this a moment where people had to go and get grain in the villages?
Yes. These are guys that at night have been down in the village, sneaking down, getting into the houses and getting, a sack of food each, and then coming up. So this is, if you don't have food, that's how you have to get it.
How many kilometers would you say that have to walk? They look tired.
They are tired. And they must have been there at night. This was about, let's say, it would be 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. So they must have been up all night,
Thank you for doing the next photo, because we have heard so much about burned churches in Kosovo, but not enough about the amount of destroyed mosques that Serbia has done in Kosovo.
Believe me, every mosque the Serbs came across, they destroyed it or desecrated it. And that was one thing that struck me with this war in Kosovo, is that the Serbs, they saw this war as a religious war. Albanians, they didn't care about religion. They cared about their homes, their families, their property. So, the Serbs, they would destroy any mosque they came across, or they would bring cattle inside, to desecrate it, with feces. I spoke with one imam in one village after the war, and I said, of course the mosque was destroyed, and I asked him, are you going to rebuild the mosque? And he said, no, it's more important we rebuild the school and the hospital and these things. And then the mosque. And that was the imam.
Right. The next photo, old man in Klečka, presumably still?
Yes. And
smoking?
Smoking like all Albanians.
Yes. The next photo is, the next two photos, Paul,
yes,
are a part of a really lovely video you have, which I want to share now with the audience. It's the best family scene that I have seen in all the photographs that I have looked throughout this war photographs, which are about 1,000. And I like this the most of a family scene because it signifies the round sofra, somehow making it look like a sofra. And sofra is the main table which we all gather around in our culture. We had a sofra in our house in Jakova, where I would go on holiday at my grandma's. When you have a sofra, things are good. You are surrounded by lots of people and community. For me, sofra means community. Tell me, how did you manage to do this? Well, I like the angle of it from up.
Yeah, well, I saw these children eating, and I saw it was very little left of the food. But what I liked was the symmetry, with all the spoons, and they were all sitting with the same type of spoons and eating from this bowl that was nearly empty. So I wanted to have like a bird's view on it.
On the other hand, Paul, I'm so happy you bring to us this obvious picture of hunger, because there are 10 people eating from one bowl of rice. They must have all ended up hungry after this.
I think so. I mean, there was not starvation at the point. The Uchaka wanted me to say there was starvation, but it wasn't at the moment starvation, but it was very scarce food.
Very scarce
for
food,
everyone, for Uchaka like for civilians. So if the war has lasted, let's say, a month more, you could have ended up with starvation. You could have.
Okay. Next one is at when?
Oh, this is from Rambouillet.
So this is 99,
yes.
February.
Yes, because I was between the two wars, so to say. I was invited first by Luli and Jarpi, Hashim Tashi and Velikarovic to meet them in Belgium. And then the second time, they said, we're going to have these negotiations. in Rambouillet, so please come. You can stay with our delegation. So I was staying with Agim Cheko in this hotel outside. And I was taking pictures, you know. One day the Serbs had a demonstration. It was like, you know, 10 Serbs demonstrated.
And
the next day the Albanians were demonstrating, and it was 10,000, you know, of demonstrators. Luli, he wanted to borrow my video camera. I brought my video camera there. So he went brought
because Luli was in Rambouillet also?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Luli Kadri Veseli.
Yeah,
Let's
yes,
just
of
remind
course.
people.
So I thought, you know, maybe he will film and he will give me a copy of the cassette, but he didn't give me a copy, but I could view it. And he was filming, you know, some scenes inside Rambouillet, including Rugova sleeping during the negotiation.
Where are those photos?
Ask Luli.
So he took those?
Yes.
Was that from his camera or your camera?
No, it was from my video camera. So,
from your video camera?
Yeah, it's the same video camera I lost. You know, the video camera I lost in '98. The Serbs, they
gave it back.
They gave it to the Norwegian embassy. The Norwegian embassy sent it to my family, and of course, I got I got everything back. Even my toothbrush, they sent back.
Incredible. Where is that camera today, Paul?
It's in my home, and you know, when I looked at it, it had one fragment from the hand grenade that went through the camera, but you know, the electronics were there, and it just passed like from one side to another.
And you could still use it?
Yes.
Despite the camera being through
I used it in '99.
So it's in your house. Presumably you have retired that camera.
Yes.
Would you be willing to give it to a museum in Kosovo?
Not give it because I needed to see the cassettes, but you can borrow it.
Thank you very much. Okay, so those cassettes, Paul, have you digitized those cassettes?
Yes, that's
the material.
The material we are looking at now. It's it's from the cassettes to a computer disk.
Okay, your favorite material from those videos, which is it? Can you comment on the material?
Oh, okay. It's a lot of favorite. I mean, the first thing I like is when the Učaka is going into the base, or the Serbian border base called Karaula, north in Kosovo, just close to the border, and they are just going through the material. They are looking at, you know, looking for ammunition, looking at papers they found by the Serbs. I like that material a lot. We find gas masks, and we find these rifle grenades called marked chemical. So it was kind of, you know, we thought maybe the Serbs were using some kind of poisonous chemical, but it was CS gas they were using. So that material I like.
The other material that you have filmed?
Yeah, well, it's actually my favorite is Malishev, Liberation Day, because we get a report that the Serbs have just left Malishev. I hitchhike with the number 10.
Recep
Selimi,
yeah.
Down to Malishev, and I start filming there, and there is people coming, you know, they haven't seen each other for a year. They have been on each different sides of Malishev, and they're coming and they're meeting and they're hugging and they are cursing the Serbs, and you know, and they're firing the pistols and guns in the air, and everyone is so happy. So that's you know, another part of the material I really like.
And you told me Christiana Amanpour had that video.
Yes.
And she cracked laughing.
Yes, because
did she use it?
She used it because you know, she was laughing because you know, I gave the cassettes to Christiana Amanpour in CNN, and she got a translation of the swearing, where the Albanians were saying what the Serbs could do with their mothers in Belgrade. And she was just laughing, and she used the cassette. She used the material. Which
date was it that you filmed that? Do you remember?
Oh, not exactly.
Not even the month?
No, of course, it was in June 1999.
You're talking about liberation after the war.
Liberation after the war, yes.
So, apart from Karaul video, the liberation of Malishev, What else is a favorite video of yours from your material?
Well, what is a little bit
Controversial?
yeah, I wouldn't say controversial, but it's a little bit embarrassing, is that I was with Agent Cheko in his headquarters, and then NATO started to bomb the area. And Agent Cheko had to hide in the bushes. And I filmed that, and he was very embarrassed, of course, because NATO was supposed to be allied, and they were bombing some UÇK bases there. They killed 4 civilians during that bombing. So that is, you know, it's special material. It's historical material, but as I said, maybe a little bit embarrassing for NATO.
Do you remember, I don't think there's any good reason to be embarrassed, because we know that such bombing, massive bombing, would ended up in collateral damage. However, I'm really interested how were the communications between KLA and NATO to tell them where they are? Did you witness any of these communications?
Yeah, I saw some, during that bombing, some of the staff officers were on the satellite phone trying to reach someone to saying that, you know, please tell them to stop bombing this area.
You mentioned a few people, which I know our audience would love to know what sort of impressions did they leave on you. For example, Hashim Thaçi, you said you met him.
Yes.
What sort of impression did he leave on you?
Hashim Thaçi, he struck me as a very serious, very soft-spoken guy, you know. I always thought that there was some mystery commander on the top, you know. I thought, you know, Hashim Thaçi and Kadri Veseli and Sultan, these were just kind of middlemen, and then there was someone at the top. I never thought Hashim Thaçi was actually on the top.
At the top.
Yeah.
How was Kadri Veseli like?
He was. I like him a lot. He was very lively. He was very friendly, you know, and I had a lot of contact with him. But then he went to Albania, you know, in August sometime, I think. Yeah. He went to Albania. So
Süleyman Selimi, Sultan, how was he like?
Sultan, I would say he's a man. If you're a small group, let's say you're 10 soldiers or you're a platoon, I would love to have him as a commander. But I don't think he was the right one to be, you know, commander of all the UÇK. So I'm glad that Agim Cheko, with the experience that he had, took over.
Tell me about Agim Cheko. What impression did he leave you?
Well, as a military man.
Top-notch military?
Yes, I would say.
Trained man?
Yes, of course. You know, the problem with the UÇK was that after the massacre of the Jashari family, everything exploded. You know, they went from a few hundred to thousands, you know, and they didn't have this trained officer corps. One guy who won, you know, in February was sleeping with a pistol under his pillow, was suddenly a brigade commander now.
Okay,
and
I want to stop here because I want to talk about this everything exploded. My impressions, when I was translator for the BBC in '98, my evaluation of this hierarchy that you just talked about, whether they had somebody on the top, was that it was a complete chaos, that KLA was not an organized, hierarchical army. These were groups that were trying to save whatever they could, do hit and run attacks, but really not in control of the situation.
Yeah, and Luli,
I want to actually, I don't want to impose this on you, this was my impression. What was your impression of the hierarchy?
Well, mostly the same as you. You know, Kadri Veseli, he, after the Serbs attacked Resala, and this photo is from the attack, after the attack on Resala, when they were the Serbs came as a surprise, really.
Which month in Resala?
That is in September
98.
No, August or beginning September 98. Yeah. You know, the Serbs came like a surprise, and I spoke with Kadri Veseli after that, and he said, you know, I told them they should guard this road. The Serbs would come there, but they didn't listen. So that was the problem. I mean, he was a top commander, but the local groups didn't listen.
It really, it is parallel to my experience. I would agree on interviews, to take the BBC crew to do certain interviews. They would be approved by somebody, then I would meet somebody on the field who would completely stop us and say, I don't let you go in, even if that person that you say allowed you to get in. So this just proves that things did not get implemented as they wanted to get implemented, that these leaders wanted.
And building, training a soldier, usually you can do that in a couple of weeks. But training an officer, it takes you months. And they didn't have, they didn't have an officer school. They didn't have, people with experience of logistics and, moving around hundreds of soldiers. So that was, a huge problem for the UÇK at that time.
Tell me about this. Where is this?
Oh, this is, we are on the way out of Kosovo. So that must be in end of September, 98. And you know how it was in war is that you can walk in the countryside and you can knock on any door and you can say, we are on the way to Chipnia, can we stay here, can we get food? And people will say, welcome,
Is that what happened to you?
That happened there, and I was, in the morning I took some photos, in the, around the house.
And people fed you wherever you went?
Yes.
One question, how did you talk to all of these people you just mentioned? Gjorpri, Sultan, Luli, Agimçeku.
The German and English. Some people spoke English, but most spoke German, because there's a lot of Shqiptars in Germany and in Switzerland.
These photos of hospital, are they of your time there in hospital?
This is the one close to Malishev. It was. I stayed there for a couple of weeks and then was transferred to Likovsk. But when the Serbs had this offensive in Rahavac, they were getting this hospital in Malishev was getting filled by civilians. So I asked to get back to film the civilians in the spot. There were some UÇK fighters and there were civilians.
Tell me about these two ladies.
Okay, that's. I like that photo too. This is not so far from Likovsk. I don't remember exactly the name. There is the closest girl is I think she's called Linda. She was part of a group of UÇK fighters there. And actually in '99 I met a UÇK guy who came from Sweden, and he said that photo convinced him to come to fight for the UÇK. But then I showed him, all the photos, and he noticed Linda had a ring on his finger, and he was very disappointed. She's married.
So he wanted to come and meet her. Whatever got him to join the KLA, it's good. Did you ever meet Linda after the war?
No, I haven't.
Okay. How were the women treated in the KLA? Because you seem to be really an honest viewer and chronicle of life in the KLA. How were the women viewed?
I think, I didn't see any, let's say, sexism or kind of chauvinism, but of course I didn't understand, Albanian, but, I think they were treated as equals.
Mm-hmm. Did you see a lot of women?
Not a lot, but some. Some, yes.
Yeah.
Most in, let's say, more supportive roles, administrative roles. But then you had like Linda, who's a sniper, and
Linda the sniper.
Linda the sniper.
So she's really. I thought that she might have just taken the gun to pose for you.
I don't know. They were just sitting there. I mean, I didn't.
How long did you spend in this camp here?
Just a few hours. It was like a small position, and they had like a heavy machine gun and a few fighters, some old Soviet weapons, and
Now, can you comment on that?
Yeah, this is the guy with the crutches. That's Kapuch, and he was well known there. I liked him a lot because some of the young commanders, they were kind of having a big pistol and a sport car thing. Like, he was very modest. He's soft-spoken. He treated the old people with respect. I really liked him. I thought, this man, he can be, a great overall commander in Uçaka. Unfortunately, he was killed going to Albania. He was killed in Pastrik.
What time?
That must have been in, I think it was October, actually.
98.
98, yes.
Okay, so let's go through. I like this photo. Kele running in action.
Yeah,
I find that amazing.
That's the group of Kapuch. They were doing some training, and so they were doing, let's say, hit and run and fire and run exercises.
And what are they doing in the next photo? They're cleaning something. What are they cleaning?
Here we are on the other side of the border in Shqipnia, in Krume. There is a base, Uçaka base, and they were receiving armed shipments, Albanian weapons, I think, probably has been in storage. So they were cleaning the oil, because they were all put with grease. So they were cleaning the oil and preparing the weapons to be shipped inside Kosovo.
Next photo is a lovely photo of yourself.
Yes, this is...
When you had hair, Paul.
Yeah, I have hair. I'm just shaving my head.
Are you?
Yes.
Okay. So
this is me coming out of Kosovo.
Who took this photo?
One of the commander who brought me out of Kosovo. So this is his brother who's holding the rifle. Yeah. And we have just crossed Pastrik, coming out, and we are on top of Pastrik on the Albanian side, and the sun is coming up, and everything feels, fantastic.
Excellent.
So we go down to...
you came out, you made it, here you are in mountains of Albania, yeah?
Yes, and we go down to the base in Kruma. I borrow a satellite phone, and I called my mother and say, "Mom, I'm in Albania," and she said, "Oh, thank God."
But what about your wife? Didn't you call your wife?
No, we were kind of divorcing.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so next one is one of my top favorite ones, I must say, Paul, because of the gaze of this girl, her face looking at you, and her sneakers, and her sniper in the back. This looks like a teenager at war.
But this is
for me. It looks a teenager.
This is Linda.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. This is the group I visited. You can see they have a heavy machine gun. They have a mixture of weapons, and on the right side, the bush you see there is their bunker. So
is this in Albania?
No, this is in Kosovo.
This is in Kosovo.
Close to Likovs.
In 98.
98. Yeah. So I was able to go around taking photos, from time to time. Not too much, because the Uçaka were kind of paranoid at that time.
Yes, they were.
They had this mentality that they were still like a secret partisan group.
Yes.
They didn't really get...
Paul, for the mentality they had that they were paranoid, you got quite good access from these photos. One can almost conclude the opposite. Yeah. They took you in and trusted you completely.
Yeah, but they say, because they had this thing with spies, but they say spies don't get wounded. Yes. So
you got a bullet from Serbia, therefore...
I'm not a spy. So.
Yes. So,
okay,
so who are they?
This is the Tigran Z. They had a training camp not so far away from Obria. And I wanted to visit that camp, so they brought me there in the middle of the Serb offensive. In the middle of the Serb offensive, I could go to visit this Tigran C camp and take some photos. Most of the people were outside running.
And where is this?
Close to Obria.
This is now in the mountains of Albania.
This is...
99, yeah?
Yeah. This is Krume. As I said, there's a training camp that's from where I left when I got wounded, and from where I came back when I left Kosovo, and the first stop I had when I was going back into Kosovo in 99. So this is the training of new recruits. Refugees, sons, people coming from Europe, getting uniform and getting a basic training.
Okay, the next, very young, Agim Ceko.
Yes.
This is in Kruma again.
No, he was never in Kruma.
Okay,
as
where
far
is
as
he
as
here?
far as I know, this is he was in Kleshka. He had a stop inside Kleshka area during the bombing campaign.
This is June 99 or May 99?
This is May or June. This is a funeral. There is a funeral there. There was a Uchaka soldier. He was killed in a Serbian ambush, and his wife was also Uchaka. She was one of the persons grieving there. She was pregnant, 2 months pregnant, I think, and so it was a very emotional funeral, and Agam Cheko was there among some other stuff to honor this man.
And the next one?
This is Malishev, Liberation Day. This is you know, the first day that Uchaka could enter the town since '98.
Yeah.
So in the middle with the red beret, you had what Van Damme, they called him, Commander Van Damme, and the rest is part of his group.
I want to end with these two photos.
Yes.
Clearly, these two photos are from
I think
the end of the NATO bombing.
Yeah,
it looks like Jakov to me.
Yeah, it's Jakova, I think it's a police station. It was bombed by NATO, even though it didn't have any military value. I think they were just bombing it because it used to be a Serbian. There was a lot of, you know, useless bombing at that time. So I would say the bombing didn't destroy the Serbian military machine. It didn't destroy it, but it suppressed it. It meant that when NATO planes were in the air, the Serbs didn't use the artillery, they couldn't use the tanks. What I saw when I was walking from Macedonia up to Kleshka was that the Serbs, they were using just mortars, you know, they were not using their artillery, so they were using mortars, they were using civilian cars, they were using small units, so it suppressed the war machine of Serbia.
In the end, Paul, can you describe for us the happiest moments from covering the Kosovo War, as well as the most difficult moments from covering the Kosovo War?
Well, difficult. There is many difficult. You know, I mean, when you hear the fighting far away, and you know that okay, it's in a matter of half an hour, there's going to be a lot of you know, people coming to the hospital. You hear then you know, 1 hour later, half hour later, you hear the cars coming full speed, and there's either people are dead or they are severely wounded. You know, it was a lot of difficult moments. I think the happiest moments I had was I went to Malishev, as I said, on the Liberation Day, and there were some Uchaka fighters going to Prizren. I thought, I will hitchhike with them. And we were driving, and there was a pickup, and they were standing there with the Albanian flag and an Uchaka uniform. And we passed an old, I remember we passed an old man, you know, with this white, what do you call it, this white hat. He was sitting,
Yes.
and he saw it, he was sitting there, and he saw it was Uchaka, and suddenly this man was like, oh, you know, he's like, suddenly he was 18 years old, and he was so happy, you know, seeing that these were our soldiers. So this was, for me, I mean, it was an emotional moment to see the happiness of people.
Paul, you were clearly a freelancer doing all this.
Yeah.
Where did your work get published?
Well, you know, because I didn't have too much from '98, so it was limited to some Norwegian papers. '99, I freelanced for CNN. I met some CNN reporter, and they liked my work, so I was freelancing for them.
Mm. And your stuff got through all these parts of this material, video material, got to CNN.
Yes, a lot from the Uchaka, got there.
Apart from Christian Amanpouri, which you told us about, which reporters used your stuff?
Nick Robertson.
Nick Robertson was key CNN actually correspondent in Kosovo, so he used your material to tell his stories.
Yes.
He was the only one in '98, as far as I remember, from CNN.
Yeah, but I didn't meet him in '98.
Okay, I met him in '98. He was covering the war clearly in '99.
Yeah.
Any other correspondents?
Yeah, but I don't remember the names. But the two major were Christiana Mampor and Nick Robertson. So,
25 years on, what do you think about Kosovo when you come back?
Well, it's developed a lot. It's really a different country than I saw before. But I'm a pessimist, and it's good to be a pessimist because you never get disappointed. So to say. But I'm a pessimist, so I think that you shouldn't be too comfortable with Serbia accepting Kosovo, sooner or later. Because they still remember that they lost this battle more than 600 years ago in Fush Kosovës. So do you think they will forget that they lost a war 25 years?
Why do you think people are comfortable? I don't think anybody in Kosovo expects Serbia to recognize.
No, but do you expect them to attack you one day? I mean, this can happen.
You're right. Most people don't.
No.
I do, but most people never would think this would happen. Do you think there's a realistic chance of Serbia attacking Kosovo?
I think it can be, because let's say Trump becomes president, and somehow he dislikes Kosovo, and he say K4 out, and maybe the other European countries follow suit, and maybe you get really a nationalistic government in Serbia, then anything can happen. And what my worry is that the young generation forget or don't learn about the war. They don't learn about the war. They don't learn about the suffering. They don't understand the price that had to be paid 25 years ago, 26 years ago.
That is why we are doing all this.
Yes.
All around you, for the first time in the middle of the town, there's footage, 30-hour footage, raw footage that international journalists filmed during the war, including your photos. I thank you a lot, Paul, for making that first contact with the Institute of War and documenting war crimes. Who brought me, you first gave them your material, USB in Oslo, then they gave it to me. I thank you for allowing Institute of War, but as well as Reporting House to use your material in a very special way, because you're the only contributor who has brought video and photographs, asking us to spread it as much as possible,
yes,
and not restricting your material use in any way.
No.
You are incredible in this way. You are incredible that you have made it possible for the public of Kosovo to get the material from us and to use it on TV, not just for the exhibition.
No, but this is, as I said, I don't want people to forget the history, and this is historic material. I want as many as possible to have access to it. I don't want any payment for it. The only restrictions I have is people don't pretend it's their own, and that it is not used to disrespect the Uçaka or the struggle of the Kosovar people. That's part of the disclaimer, because I don't want the Serbs to use my material for their propaganda.
We cannot control
how
the Serbs will use anything. But I'm glad you say that, and that you've given this material, particularly for young generations to understand what happened. Paul, are you interested in the Kosovo citizenship at all?
Well, I don't know.
Are you? Because what you're doing is so important for us, for documenting war crimes. I think you should be given an honorable citizenship of Kosovo.
That would be really an honor for me. I mean, if I could get that.
Do you need, as a Norwegian, at all to have a Kosovo passport?
Not really. It doesn't help traveling, because Norwegians is one of the best passports to have. But it would be, a good thing for my heart to have it.
Thanks very much, Paul.
Well, thank you.
Keep coming back to Kosovo. Ishte ky Paul Refsdal, I cili na ka dhënë mundësinë me I përdor krejt materialet e tija për transmetim, jo vetëm për ekspozit. Prandaj mujtë sonte me I pa fotografit edhe videot e tij, njëri prej kontribuesve kryesor në ekspozitën Reporters House, e cila do të jetë e hapur deri me 10 shtator. Kaq prej nesh, natën e mirë.